think anyone's ever called me an introvert. I don't think that's in my vocabulary.
Hey, Jessica, it's good to see you.
Oh, nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, you want to tell the people how do we know each other?
So, so obviously my name is Jessica. So, me and Nico actually met through work. We both worked as academic advisors. I don't know if we should say the school.
Probably not until
No,
they pay us or pay me.
that's true. Yeah, we're not promoting anyone
Yeah, yeah, no
until
free ads.
until sponsorships.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yep. I won't say the school, but we met both as academic advisors, and funny enough, we've met face to face once because we were designated in different states. So,
Oh, yeah,
and it was just graduation that it was the first time, and I think the only time we've ever met actually in person.
yeah. So mostly virtual, but still feels the same. No
Oh
matter
yeah,
what.
this is normal at this point.
Yeah, I don't. I'd rather meet people this way. I'm kind of shaking hands in person is kind of overrated. I don't need all that in my life.
Yeah,
Not
COVID ruined
anymore.
all.
Yeah, I see. I had that thought before COVID too, and I was waiting for an excuse, and then
Now
yeah, I
it's
was
an
like, oh,
excuse.
thank God for Zoom. You asked before we started rolling about if I am looking for sponsorships. Sure, I would love it, but um, the goal is just to talk with people, and if it happens, it happens. I think naturally it'll happen. One of my friends of mine, he does this not like on a regular, but he was telling me that yeah, he's had like electronic sponsor deals just because he does bodybuilding stuff, and they'll reach out to you naturally just because they want eyes. But
It's true. And then you can always do, I mean, I know with, well, because now this is my background, marketing. So I
mm,
know with, depending on what you're specifically kind of talking about, like if you do kind of go into a certain direction or get kind of your niche, then you can also get a promo code that you're able to give out to your listeners. And then that's will also probably help you get more sponsors. So,
yeah, so like affiliate marketing, because I was right, because I was looking into that, and it's so interesting about that because I laugh at like whenever I'm watching a YouTube video and then like the better help, you know,
yep.
that ad like I was like, this person has no right talking about BetterHelp. I know the kind of content they produce. And next thing you know, they're like, oh, stop 1 second. If you have issues, go to BetterHelp. And then back to the bull crap. That's, so
Some
like
are pretty interesting. I'm not
some
gonna
of
lie.
them are, some are funny. Like I've seen a few. There's BetterHelp. I get the Manscaped one all the time just because targeted ads.
Yeah.
Um, what's the other one? HelloFresh, the meat
Mm,
boxes. I mean, look, I'll if this type of tape was like this tape, look at it. It does this thing. I'll do it for like $30. Like like I don't care.
what would be your dream sponsor? Who, like, for someone to sponsor you? Who would be an ideal sponsor?
If All right, so like I would say, I think if it was like any like cheesecake brand, I think I would be
Cheesecake.
like if Sara Lee was like, I mean, Sara Lee is like, okay, it's great, but it's like, there's other cheesecakes that could be considered better. But any cheesecake brand, I would literally in the middle of a video or a podcast talking about like the heartfelt, like emotional turmoil that their parents divorcing. And then I had to say, hold on, Sara Lee cheesecake,
Yeah,
it gets me through hard times. It can get you through hard times with your divorced parents, that'll bring them back together. So I would do something like that.
that's pretty funny. I
That's what I
really
would
wasn't
do.
expecting you to say cheesecakes. I'm not gonna lie. So,
What would you think? What would you think I would do well
well,
sponsoring?
considering your passion is, rollerblading, you would probably want something probably in that department. Maybe something with.
Oh my God, I forgot all about that. I honestly was thinking of like, well, I can get rollerblades, but that would be good too. But then I was like, man, I really love cheese. I'm
I
thinking
mean,
like a year's supply of just like cheesecake.
oh
Yeah.
my! But then you wouldn't sell any, and then you would just eat it all.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, look, I got what I wanted out of it. Like I went to bed knowing I just wanted cheesecake for a good month or a year. Uh, but rollerblades would be good too. I mean, honestly, now that I said that, yeah, rollerblade, Twister, XTs, like
Maybe even
I would
like
do that.
a derby, like some kind of like a derby alley. What's it called?
Oh, roller derby. Yeah, I know a few roller derby players. Like, I mean, that's another thing. That's another circuit I can just podcast and just like, hey, you want to watch roller derby? We'll go to this thing and I get free
Yeah.
tickets.
Yeah.
Um,
Or you could also interview maybe someone that's like really popular in that. I don't know much about it. So somebody that,
no, I mean that's on my list. That's on my list because the goal is to interview everybody that I follow. So slowly but surely, I'm gonna get through it.
are you getting a lot of
Um,
people so far?
um, it's trickling in. It's more so like a lot of like, well, that's awesome. I see that. I'm so glad you're doing that. I've always seen that for you. And then, I offer, would you like to do it? And people go, yes. Some people go like, I don't know. And I say, well, it can be audio or video. But a lot of people are interested. A lot of people are going, I would do it, but got to find the right time. And I get it. It's awkward putting yourself out there, but we do it all the time with our own social media posts. So I kind of don't see it as such a big deal anymore. I mean, this helps with my public speaking, helps with my active listening. Um, I'm just excited to talk to friends and strangers. Like I do it every day, so it couldn't hurt
Yeah.
to do it in my own time when I actually can control the topic or not control the topic, but.
But yeah, I mean, I was, advisor side, you never really know when you pick up the phone or call someone what you're really going to get from the other
Oh
side. You learn
God.
a lot though.
Yeah. Oh, I think you learn more than you bargained for.
It's good though. That's why
You,
I do miss it. I do miss advising
yeah,
sometimes. So,
yeah. You just
um,
like the talking to people aspect of it, or just, you know.
I I felt that I mean, I every day was a little different.
Hmm.
I felt like I was probably one of the more harsh advisors. I was more blunt.
Oh,
I'm
that's all
understanding, but
right.
I'm more blunt.
Yeah.
Um, and if I did see like an actual pattern in a sense with like some of the students that they were genuinely trying and they just got dealt bad cards. It's not their fault.
Yeah.
Then, I really tried to go out of my way to help them and make sure that they didn't have to go spend that extra money kind of for like the semester in terms. I felt like I had a really good purpose with that. At
Hmm.
least I helped a few students. I know you got some of the students when I did leave. So,
Yeah.
especially with like
Yeah.
art education. So that
Oh,
one
yeah.
was
Oh, that's been fun.
it's a good program. It's just
Yeah.
very complicated and
Yeah.
it can easily be turned against them without them knowing and it's not even their fault.
No, I agree. Nah, it's one of those things. It's like I wouldn't consider you harsh. I think I'm this. I mean, I'm the same way. Like even more. It's just like the patience level gets pretty thin. But also, we both have a big heart on like helping people. Counseling. It's like almost
Yeah.
like talking to your patients. It's like, hey, this is what you can do, and this is
Yeah.
what you can't do. And once you get them, or at least try to get them to understand that, their life will be easier. But
Yeah.
also, I always try to say, what is the why of why you're doing this? I mean, place isn't the end all be all. And I say that with any job, any school, anything any person decides to pursue. Like, why is your why of why you're doing this intact? And if it is, just know this isn't everything.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say you were hard. I mean, look, people need to have the truth. Like I expect that I put episodes out. People were like, well, I didn't like how your lighting looked. I didn't like how your sound looked. I didn't like how this looked. I'm like, well, that's your truth. I mean, what am I? I'm going to argue with you. Like, this is the risk I run, you know?
Maybe it's feedback, maybe it's helpful feedback, maybe it's not, but
Yeah.
as no no publicity is bad publicity.
I
So
was literally about to say that. Like, I no such thing as bad publicity. I love it. Like, hey, just names out there. Like, what do you want me to? Hey, it all works for me. And I think that's how people should like think of things and creatively. Like, if they're talking about you, that's a good thing. If they're not,
yes.
then you're kind of talking to air.
So
Yeah.
for my job, I actually one of the interns for the school that was nearby where I work, because I work in the city. So
Hmm.
she goes to UIC and we had an idea to kind of produce this TikTok video. And it was the transformation of this bookstore into a Starbucks. And
Okay.
kind of a little background on how like architecture works. Like we don't pick the projects. We get hired by the company. So we get hired by like Starbucks. And they're like, hey,
Okay.
you need to do the interior designing. There are brand standards you have to follow. And you need to do the designing and the architecture side of it, not the construction, which is separate, but usually work with the construction team. So we made this video and we got a lot of hate back from the video, which
Oh,
was
geez.
surprising. But, you know, the no publicity is bad publicity in that
Yeah.
aspect, because people are like, I can't believe you posted a video of a bookstore being turned into a Starbucks. You shouldn't be promoting that. And I was like, well, we didn't pick it, but it was a good
No,
selection.
it's a good video. I mean, what do they want people? What do they want you to do? I mean, well, that to me, it just seems like that's people who are not in the know talking, you
But
know,
they're talking about us. So I was like,
which is
I was
great.
kind of excited. I was like, we're we've someone felt the need to comment on our video this. And not all of it was hate, but I was like, that's good. That means
Yeah,
we got a lot of views. Because I mean,
engagement.
exactly. But it was just funny because instead of being like, that's so rude, I was excited. I was like, we're popular. Like people
Yeah,
saw the video. Rather
yeah.
than Audrey, who actually like made the video. We
Hmm.
collaborated with it, but I have to give her the credit for it. She
Yeah.
was like, should we take it down? I'm like,
No, man, that's the tough part about this day and age of like taking something down because it's already been captured, right? So you're kind of you can't erase history. It happened, and either you stand on it or you apologize or you say nothing. But I like taking it down kind of defeats the purpose sometimes. I mean, I get why some entities do it just because it shows a gesture of goodwill. But in that situation, it's like it's just a bookstore turned into a Starbucks. Like why people should ask the right questions. What happened to that bookstore? Well, maybe not enough people went to it. I don't know what to tell you. They
maybe
got bought
the
out.
owners sold it. Maybe they didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. Maybe they've had that bookstore for 60 years. They've made enough money. They can finally retire, put all their kids through college. And they say, you know what? It's just a bunch of bricks.
Yep.
Everybody has Kindles now. So
Yep.
you don't know. Like,
And I don't even know. So I
yeah.
don't. I'm like, I'm
It's,
just the one that produced the video.
yeah, it's not my job to know. I'm just here to do the task and move on. Like,
Yeah.
like what would what it was a triple homicide in that bookstore. Like,
It was
maybe can we put that on the TikTok comment? That sounds fun.
maybe start making fake TikTok accounts, start posting positive feedback to it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that.
yeah. No, no. Well, that sounds like a cool gig. That sounds like an interesting, like, life path. And it's always odd, sometimes talking to people about their jobs. Sometimes I feel weird about it because I don't never want people to feel like all I want to know is about what they do or what's on their W-2.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes in the friend group, we try to, or at least I hope I try to implement, like, let's not talk about your work. Or if you're gonna complain about it, you get 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops
Yeah.
because, you know,
At
I
that
don't,
point, then it's not going to get fixed. And then it's like, let's
yeah,
move forward.
let's move
Well,
on.
it's funny because I've had probably like every job imaginable. So I feel like it's more common than not for people to talk to me about my jobs. And a lot
So
of
you were
people
a
are,
sommelier,
a what?
like you were the person who knew a lot about wine. Every job imaginable.
Oh, well, kind of.
I
Kind
was oh
of.
Jesus. I was trying to think of like the most what is the most obscure job that I could think of. Oh wow, I actually did it. Yeah, actually was a somebody.
Well, I did take an
Well,
alcohol class in college, so I do know a lot about wine.
oh, like as an elective?
Yeah, well, it was part of my major. I went into event management.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's such a good yeah.
hospitality. So,
You need it. That's so that I don't you know what's funny? I think my mind pulled that. No, I don't know. My mind pulled it for a joke. But I think my brain was like, what is the who would be like how do you what are the
yep,
odds? And of course, oh
yep. I know it's bizarre, but that's why
uh,
I'm like
so
I've
every
really had a lot of background and a lot of
hmm,
different things.
what was your favorite thing? I mean, like, what is your favorite out of the not let's say not counting this one, like
Okay,
from the moment you went to have your first job to now, what do you think has been your favorite? You don't have to really say any company, but just sort of idea, like task.
so I would say probably my favorite was advising because I did want to go into I still in a sense want to actually go into teaching. I want to go into
Yeah.
teaching college students higher education, um,
Okay.
mostly about event management and about wedding and venue planning in general. Um, I don't feel like it's it's very talked about a lot, even as like a
Hmm.
career option. And for myself, when I was in it, I was probably the only person with a degree. So
Mm. Okay.
it's very new. People are now starting to kind of get into event management, but it's it's very it's very open ended onto like what side you can get into, because you can go into concerts, you can go into like venue, you can do wedding, you can do sporting events,
Okay.
so because and you can even do it for higher education, you know, I mean, um going like the events that even like the start for schools, um or even going back into like any sporting events, trying to think, like any hockey, baseball, like the Cubs in Chicago have a event
Yeah.
coordinator and they have multiple people underneath, so it's just very open and a lot of people just don't know about it.
Okay. Huh.
And that was kind of why, starting out in academic advising, I did want to, and I still want to pursue some kind of teaching, and it just has to be one class. I don't need to be like a full-time teacher
Oh,
or
you
anything.
just okay, like a little adjunct every now and again, just
Yeah.
to scratch the itch. Okay. That's
So,
fair.
because I don't know if I would be necessarily a good teacher in all elements. If I don't really know a lot about it, I'm not very good at teaching. If I haven't experienced it, then I'm not very good at it, at explaining.
So do you feel like it has like if it's somebody came in saying I want to be a part of that world, would you say school is necessary first, or would you say, look, get a few real world experience before you learn the technical aspect? Because it's like that's how I feel like it could work. Like if you want to get into that space, because you said it's kind of new but also open, right? So like there's
Yeah.
no set path. Like if you were to become a doctor,
Yeah.
in medical
Well,
college, medical school intern, all that.
I
Okay,
think
but
I think it depends what field you were going into. So if you're going to do like the sports management, you would need to get a degree, because considering how high up that
yeah.
would be to get into that level of management,
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't really necessarily take anybody without any experience
Mm-hmm.
or with no level of degree to start out at the minimum. That's what I think. And based on who I know that's gotten into sports management, that's something that they say as well too,
Okay.
is if you were going to go into wedding or venue, um, you're more likely to not need a degree, but it will be helpful. Whenever I was interviewing for those positions, because when I told them that I was getting a degree, it was kind of like, what? That's possible, and this is also very
These people
new.
hiring you.
We're like, hired, done, yeah.
Like,
We
okay.
got student
That's
debt
all I
to
got to
pay
say.
off. And so,
Yeah,
yeah,
dude. Yeah. That's good. Well, I'm curious because it's like I wonder, like, if you were to hire somebody like fresh out of school, how much they'll be trusted to do the job if they haven't had any real world event experience. Because I mean, if I was a college student, and this is my trying to finesse the system, if I've thrown a lot of college parties, I would be
hmm
like, well, technically, I've thrown, since I'm from freshman to senior, I've thrown 52 college parties. That's 52 events, 4 years worth of experience. If you saw a candidate have that on their resume and they worded it correctly, would you hire them?
um, if they were saying that they had college parties and
Yes.
they
Like
like,
they wrote it sophisticatedly. Like they wrote it like, okay, either in an interview, it's a college party, but on their resume and how they interview, they talk it up like it was a shindig, like it was a swanky event. I mean,
I
it probably wasn't, but like,
I just don't know if I would credit that or discredit it. Honestly, I would probably just ignore that part, because you throwing a party has nothing to do with you planning someone else's event.
oh, okay. Because I'm thinking like if it was your frat brother or sorority sister, you're like, well, it wasn't my birthday, but I did plan my frat brother's party.
But
Uh,
you're doing it on the way that you want. It's completely
okay.
different when somebody's coming to you and they're like, "Hey, this is how I want my wedding," and you're like, "Well, actually, my wedding was like this though, so you should do it like this because I
Okay.
planned." It's like, so I wouldn't discredit them, to be honest, because I you don't exactly get hired and then thrown into it. It's like every other job. You have to train.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for the first month, you would most likely follow whoever would be the manager at that time, like whoever would be probably the. Usually you would do whoever the top salesperson was for the venue. So
Okay.
who's producing the most sales, follow them on their tours. So like when I did when I was a venue coordinator, my main I guess clients were weddings. So it
Yeah.
had to do with weddings. So the first part of it is you show them the venue. So they tour with you. You have to first convince them that this is the place that they want to be.
Yeah. A lot of
Now,
sales.
yes, a lot of sales, but you also don't want to put someone in a bad situation that they can't afford. So each person operates a little bit different with sales. Mine, and everyone I worked with, I can't say anybody I worked with was very much of that typical kind of, not typical, but that typical thought of a sleazy
Hmm.
salesman, like of the
Yeah.
used car salesman.
Yeah.
It's not like that. Everyone was very upfront, like, this is going to be the payments. This is how much it is. If you can't make it work, don't. Don't take out a loan for your wedding. You
Oh, so
should
that's some sage advice that you would give to anybody looking to get married. Don't do loans if you can help it or at
I
all.
would not do a loan. I mean, it's different if like how I so my sister just got married and how I explained it to her
Oh, yeah.
because she became immediately overwhelmed. Um, I was like, you're not gonna please everybody. You're gonna have to please yourself.
Yeah.
Now, I think at the end of the day, you have to pick a certain amount of people that make the most sense for your guests. So I told her, I was like, I always tell people 150 is usually reasonable. If you have to go lower, you have to go lower.
Mm.
Like you do 50 for you and your future husband, future wife, for your guys' friends. The couple getting married, that's 50 for you. Do 50 for one side, do 50 for the other. If they want to add on, they have to pay for it. And that's just how it is.
Okay.
And
It-
so break it down. And I'm just using 150 as an example. If
no,
that's too,
that sounds like a decent. I mean, some people want 100. I mean, I'm just trying to think of 150 people. That would be including guests or the plus one, because
Mhm,
I mean, in the process of planning mine, or I'm already married, but planning the celebration, I should say,
mhm.
that was along the number we were going with. But then you look at the minute details of like
Yep.
who is with who, are kids invited, and we said no kids besides
Yep.
two or three that we've personally picked, like
Yep.
it's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yep.
But 150 sounds reasonable.
And that's how I always do it. And if you can add on more, that's great. If you have to add on less, add on less. And I always would tell all the couples I work with, I was like, never cut your number, never cut yours, never cut your friends. This is your wedding, it's your
Oh,
celebration.
oh
Don't cut
yeah.
yours. Like,
Yeah, don't cut them.
don't.
Well, well, I'm trying to think. Like, all right, you've been around. You've seen that debate between couples of like, I guess, who to cut and who not to cut. So
Yes.
the close 5, 10 friends.
Hmm.
Now, second, third cousins, they're off the chopping block. Coworkers, they're gone. Like, if you had to cut, is there like a hierarchy that you would recommend to somebody? I mean, yes, their personal preference, but like coworkers first, then cousins, then I'm trying to
I
think
would
who else.
It would have to be all or none. So that is kind of like typically what I go about. If you hang out with your coworkers, then don't cut your coworkers because a lot of people become friends with their coworkers. But
Hmm.
you can't invite half of your coworkers, especially if you're like in a small office.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Because then
yeah.
creates a problem. However, cut your coworkers plus ones. If you have a group of your coworkers coming, then just to say, hey, if we could afford to have other people come, we would, but we're just going to have you guys and it's just going to be you. And then you have your coworkers there. Um,
Okay.
if anyone's not engaged, cut their plus one. If
Yeah.
there's serious relationship, like if there's other family coming, like
Yeah.
if you have five cousins coming,
Yeah.
they don't all five meet their plus one because they know
Oh
each other.
God, no.
But I mean, if
Yeah.
you're engaged, I mean, of course you want to go with someone, but if you had to do it because you can't afford it, then
Cut
that's how
them.
I would go about it. Who would be
Yeah.
alone
Yeah.
and who do you personally see the most? third cousins, I mean, how often do you
Uh,
see them?
Yeah, if it's just a Facebook happy birthday, you ain't getting it. You know? That's good. That's a good rule of thumb because Dan, that talk about a conversation that's been had a lot lately. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it's there's never an easy answer, and that's how I always started. I'm like 150 is reasonable, but that also being said, um, it's if the family is going to add on more people, which I always say, I'm like, leave it at 50. They want to add on more, they have to pay for it. That is just the rule. You can't afford it. And when that did happen in the past, I always tell them, actually was brought up to me by a client, and I didn't think about it for a while. So
mm.
they actually brought that up. They're like, I did charge my family actually, and I included the service charge and tax. I'm like, that's very
Oh,
smart per
okay.
person. Because if you have an all-inclusive venue, which includes, the open bar, the cake, obviously the food and the appetizers, and let's say it's like $100 per person, you add on that 21% service charge on top of
Hmm.
the 8% tax. I'm not good at math at the very top of my head. That would
I'm
be an
look,
extra
I'm just believing
$30.
you.
That'd be an extra $30 right there.
Yeah.
So then if they're adding on 10 extra people, instead of it being, 1,000 extra dollars, you're gonna add on, oh my God, I'm not good at math. It's 10,
No, no.
10. Is that 1,000?
Let's see.
And then it would
What?
be, and then you have to add on that $30 extra per
Yeah.
person. So then, that's an extra
Yeah.
$300 that's out of your pocket
Yeah.
that you didn't want to add on in the first place.
Is it taboo now? Is it taboo for people to outright charge their family for certain weddings? Because I know, yes, in
Is
the
it?
back of people's minds, they know they're paying for a plate, right?
Yeah.
But is it a taboo subject to say, you know what? Yes, me and my spouse are going to pay for it, but also this isn't, you know, if it's a destination wedding, you're like, listen, you at least got to pay for a plate. Like, actually ask them for money. Like, how does that work? Because
What
I
do you
mean,
mean for the
well,
family?
for like, I mean, like when it comes to paying for a wedding, it's my understanding that I haven't been to, I only been to a few, but it's my understanding that when you're invited and everything's almost taken care of besides your hotel and plane ticket. You just show up because, it's either an open bar, open food, or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, is it taboo to say, okay, we would love to take care of everything for everybody, but we can't afford it? If you accept the invite, the price per ticket is $50 or $70. That helps cover the cost of the open bar and food. Is it taboo to charge your guests to attend your wedding or if you're hosting?
I've heard stories of people who did that. I've never personally seen it or
Yeah, it
experienced
seems like it would
it.
be very rare, right? I can't
Yeah.
imagine that. Yeah.
I mean, because at the end of the day, when guests are coming to your wedding, they're also getting you a present.
That's all. I mean, that's what I think they should. I mean, it's only polite.
Well, no, majority of people do. I mean, I rarely see someone not bring a present. Now, I've actually had people when I did work for a venue, they would actually call ahead of time and they'd be like, "Hey, what is the price that they paid for this plate?" And I'm like, "I'm not allowed to disclose the specific price that they are
Hmm.
contracted for, but I can tell you our general price for this meal." uh,
Okay.
for like the wedding package. So people do that. People will call because they want to give the gift that is the amount of the plate.
See, that's fair because,
And
yeah.
I do think people usually stay by that standard. And typically a plate is around, I would say, $100 if the bar is included. If
Yeah.
it's not, then the plate goes down because you're paying for your alcohol then when you're there.
Hmm.
I think to charge your guest ahead of time, I mean, to each their own, not trying to
Yeah.
insult anyone. If I got that, I'd be like, I'm just not going to go.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm asking those questions just because there's got to be somebody out there that's like, you know what? I want a wedding, but I need a little something, something.
If you do that, though, then they're not
Don't get
going to give
married.
you a gift. Then you're
Yeah.
going to lose money.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, that's why I'm like, don't take out a loan for your wedding really don't,
Exactly.
because then all the money you get from that is supposed to help with a house or, it's supposed to help start your life together. It's not
Yeah.
supposed to be paying off the party you just had. It just defeats
That's
the
what I
purpose.
fear. That's what I fear people, because it's like, oh, people want a big giant wedding so bad. They want all the not just decorations like it's a birthday, but like they want everything. So like they take out a loan, but then that interest creeps up. They think they're going to pay it back fast enough. And then they're like, man, I should have charged cousin so and so who I don't like for that plate outright. Like he could have zelled me that. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking of like the taboo things that people could know. I mean, people should know you don't go to that wedding. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to pay to go sit there and watch this. Could
Or
be
that's
divorced in
my
6 years
gift to
happen.
you. I'm paying for this plate, and then
Yeah,
that's it.
that's it,
It's a
dude.
weird way to ask for a gift. I don't know if that's the purpose.
It might be because like there's not a lot of all right for gift giving at I've struggled with this for giving at weddings. I'm glad people send out their Amazon list of what they want
Yes.
because people can buy things that they want. It's like, okay, do I give you an air fryer? I think a good rule of thumb is give somebody something that you personally have not you used, but more so like if I have this good air fryer, I'll buy you that air fryer because I know it works. I'm
Yep.
not just gonna random item that I seen on Amazon, especially
That's
if there's
the
no,
cheapest. Yeah.
yeah, because I don't want them to, I don't want it to be on Facebook Marketplace within like 2 days, which
Yeah.
is could happen.
I mean,
Um,
a majority of people bring cash, at least on for the reception. That
mm,
is majority of what people do. But I think a lot of people's like the wedding website. I love that that's now everyone has a
oh
wedding web
yeah, it's so
that is,
convenient.
but then they have their gifts on there. They have a registry, and a lot of the registry usually gets bought out by the bridal shower. So if you, I've also told couples, and like if you would prefer cash, you can also put that on there. But if you go through the wedding websites like the Knot, and I think
Oh yeah, the nod is
there's
I've been
another
on that.
one. I can't think of the name. Starts with an L, but
Yeah.
Lola. I
Oh,
could
it might be Lola because
could
I'm
be
used to
wrong,
looking on the knot. I have a knot account still.
but if
Let me
you
see.
do where you can actually fund through there, they will take a percentage.
Okay.
So just
Oh, well,
beware
oh,
like what it is.
hey, that's a business model. I mean, because you're literally just kidding. They're going to take a percent.
They
Man,
will.
I got
It's a
only in
very
America.
small percentage. Don't get me wrong. But they will,
Yeah,
because I mean you are technically using their services. So
yeah.
instead of doing that, be like bring cash. We would
Okay,
prefer instead of gifts, uh, a dish, cash, as presents to help with our money honeymoon fund. Like,
okay.
take that. I mean, you can have it on there, but if you put it on there, people are going to use that rather than bring cash
So
because
honeymoon fund. I guess oh yeah. I guess that is a good way of saying, look, if you don't want to give us a gift, physical gift, just here's the honeymoon fund. No, it's going to a good cause. Now, is it taboo to give somebody money in the honeymoon fund, and then that married couple uses that honeymoon fund to buy a car and not go on a honeymoon?
I mean, I don't care. Do what you want with the money, you know?
Call it whatever you want.
You're
Just
getting
take it.
cash anyway, honestly, as long as you're living, you're happy, you're healthy, you got married,
Uh,
I got some
yeah,
good food, hopefully an open bar. I'd be pretty peeved off if I got there without an
yeah.
open bar.
Oh man, I think
No
that
lie.
honestly, I think people would rather have an open bar than food. I mean, okay, they want food, but I think if you gave them an open bar and a bunch of hot pockets, I think they would consider the wedding passable
You can
because like
just
they
do
want to drink.
snacks.
Yeah, here's some Tostito, what's those little pizza rolls and some a charcuterie board everywhere. You're fine
Yes.
because
Yes.
do you watch a lot of those wedding planning shows or like Married at First Sight, any of that stuff like that?
No, I don't. Okay, I have a very bad habit. I'm not allowed to start new shows because I aggressively watch shows. I I get hooked and it takes over. Like
Yeah.
it is a problem where I finished like Game of Thrones, all the seasons in like a month and a half.
Okay,
It
so during that month, did you like get steadily disappointed like the rest of America and the world did when the show was airing, or were you like, man, this is all cool?
I loved it. I loved Game of Thrones. I'm one
Okay.
of the rare people that loved the endings. I
Oh
loved Game of Thrones.
Jesus.
It made the
Oh
most
man.
sense. It's
If you
It
God,
makes the most
I,
sense.
I hear you. I
And
get it. I get it. I understand why people do. I just, and I'm not one of those book readers. Like I've listened to like breakdowns on YouTube and stuff from people much smarter than me talking about the differences and crap. But for me, I mean, look, for me, it was like watching it live with people. It was, man, I would love to go back in time and just feel that feeling of watching everyone's reaction as everything's happening. Like, what's happening here? But
I miss that. I miss the
yeah,
viewing parties where
yeah.
when the new episode was coming out, everybody had on Snapchat, Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
Facebook the opening scene
Mm-hmm.
of Game of Thrones. I miss that. I miss that a
What were you
lot.
doing when it was airing? Like, I mean, when did you watch this, the whole thing? What month was that?
It was my senior year in college, which was
Oh,
also
okay.
that's also
God,
why it took
yeah.
me like a month and a half. It was not good. I was taking like 21 credits to
Yeah.
try to graduate on time, and instead of studying for my finals, I was watching Game of Thrones,
Mm-hmm.
which I can't.
That's
You
fair.
can't do both. You can't work,
No,
do homework, and watch Game of Thrones. It was not
no,
a good choice, but it was my choice.
no,
Um,
no.
and it was senior year in college, and I had a group of friends. I lived with two girls and a group of friends that would come every single, was it Tuesday?
What, that it aired? Or
Yeah,
did
there was
you?
or Sunday. It might have been Sunday.
Sunday's when it aired, unless you did like a few days later viewing party. But Sunday at like nine or 10 is typically when it aired.
That's what it was. No, we perfectly planned it out, and we would actually everyone would show up an hour and a half before. If it started at 8 or 9, we would watch the old episode. Everyone would bring their own food, and
Oh,
then we would
okay.
go immediately into the
Yeah,
new one.
man.
It was,
I missed
yeah,
that.
we're committed.
That was a
So
good year. That was the year because the finale came out the same year Avengers Endgame came out, and I
yeah,
remember that double whammy of that. Oh man, it was good times. One more so than the other. But I'm glad you watched it. I mean, like it's
I did.
iconic shows. But so you finish those two quickly. I mean, Game of Thrones watching it in a month is pretty good. I thought you were about to say you finished it all in like. I mean, you couldn't do it in a week, but I thought
Oh
you were saying like that.
no, I mean it wasn't that bad, but it was pretty bad.
Mm.
Um, it was pretty bad, and that's just how I am. I finish shows like I will literally stay in all weekend just to finish a show.
What
And
are you
it's
watching
never
now?
um so what did I just finish? I just watched all of the Menendez brothers, that documentary.
Oh yeah, I want to see that. That's on my list. I got to watch
It
that.
was good, but I finished that in like a day.
Feel like I can't get enough of this. These
It was
crazy
like
kids.
if I start, I can't stop. I can't. So I'm not allowed to start anything during the weekday. I've determined that. And if it's a lot of
Oh
seasons,
man, yeah.
well, because I'm
That's a
hybrid, so it's just like a bad habit waiting to happen. Then I'm gonna turn it on and then not work.
and now
So
no one stuff's getting planned. You're too busy. Like
well, I
you're
don't do
watching
that
Abbott.
anymore.
Oh yeah, you're right. But like still, Abbott Elementary is on lock.
I'm
Uh,
business development, so all of the future clients are like, "Where is this girl?" And I'm like, "Just next episode. I'll respond in the
next
next."
episode. Yeah, like Netflix actually. Are you still watching? Yes, I'm watching Three Body Problem, and then I'm watching Dexter, and then I'm watching. I got to recap Menendez Brothers. Then you got to go on YouTube and look up breakdowns. That's my thing. I look at a lot of breakdowns on a
Really?
lot. Oh, I love like listening to people tell me things I already know, but more so like here's another way this episode was bent. Like not even theories, just more so and in this scene, this is what this meant. And yeah, I can make up my own conclusions, but I just like listening to video essays, and that's where a lot of my time goes.
Do you like to listen to like the ending of episodes where they kind of explain
Oh
how they
yeah,
used the episode?
every
Or
time, every
I'm
time.
I do like some of that stuff. So
Yeah, like I just think I think I think every show now should have that, just because it lets people realize, hey, relax, this is just a TV show. This is not like these people aren't real. So like, yes, after you watched, say, Game of Thrones or what have you, let's
mhm.
break it down. That's why I feel like, like some of these reality shows should have like an after show on Netflix directly after that you finish that episode before you move on to the next, just to say, hey, that was wild and crazy, right? These are real people. So don't, you know, send
Yeah,
them hate messages. you
The
know?
harassing, I cannot believe it is that bad.
Yeah, it's nuts. I could never get into that.
I've never done that. And
Never.
it seems on par for everything that people know about me, but I'm like, I have no need.
What, harassing?
Like on social media,
Oh, just go around. Yeah, everybody thinks like I harass reality stars.
I guess that I don't though. I
I
don't.
know.
People just someone said that to me. I don't know who. I can't remember who, but they were like, "You just seem like the person that would comment on like a famous person's like social media, just like a little hate or like a quick little like kind of
Wow.
jab." And I was like,
Well,
"All
you're
right,
funny. You're funny. They're like, well, she would say some kind of like blunt and funny to whomever. Like,
maybe,
I find it hilarious that like it's not even like celebrities getting the hate. It's these people on some of these dating shows like Love Is Blind and whatnot that something comes out and then like Reddit and Twitter or X is like immediately researching these people's lives, and the next you know, these people are getting stopped by paparazzi in the airport. I'm like, these are just reality show contestants. They're not like they're like what are they? What are we doing?
I know Love Island. That was the one I did watch. With the Love Island USA and the
Oh
hate that
yeah.
one of the
Mm.
characters got on there, or I guess not characters, one of the
They feel like
actual
characters though.
persons. Yeah. But they also have to be like not everything is real. And I think people forget that. There
Hmm.
has to be some kind of drama. There has to be something that people watch. Otherwise people will get bored. Not
Yeah,
everything is true. Like
yeah. Well, that's what the
so many
producers do. The producers like ask them probing questions and say, "So, did you hear that comment that so and so made about you and like you hooking up with like their job is just to be like just poke the bear and then
yeah,
just wind them up and then let them loose." So
yeah.
yeah, some of it's real slash fake reactions, but like yeah, they can feel like characters. I mean, it's
Some of
trash
it's
TV.
it's fun TV though.
Would you do one? Would you not like not say a dating show, but would you go on like a reality show?
I don't think so. I think I would be hated. I think I think I would be hated. I
Oh,
really
dude, I watch the hell out of it. Like, okay, why would they hate you? Like, okay, so your date, let's say it's like a real world setting. It's just seven of you. And like, they have like the archetypes, the jockey, the this, that, and the other. Like, would you fit in one of those archetypes and that's why they would hate you?
I don't know. I think I would be labeled as the villain. Usually the
Villain.
person that's
Oh,
mostly
goodness.
outspoken. Like
Yeah.
it's usually the person that's kind of calling everybody else out or maybe the most outspoken or kind of saying, I don't know,
Yeah.
everything that just kind of comes to mind without that filter. I feel like I would be that. I don't think I would
Yeah.
be the villain. I think I would be labeled as it.
Okay. Well, I mean, okay, I'll take your word for it. I'm
Yeah.
just because okay, you're blunt, sure, and you say it, they say I say it like it is, but I think those villains in those show, unless they know they're trying to be a villain, I think they're only labeled that based off like them commenting on like other people's mess, and they say what the audience is thinking, but
Yeah.
like I think that's a lot of them nowadays. That's why they're the villain, or they play aloof. Like I don't know why there are people who hate me. Like why people hate you. You're a douche, but I don't know with you. I guess I could see that, but I would see it more as that you would be the one that everybody would confide in. But what would happen is one of the people that confided in you would start confiding in somebody else, and they would start talking crap. And then the moment you hear it, like say you're in the confessional and you hear it, you're out of there. You're like, oh no, how dare you? Like you leaned and cried on my shoulder. I think that would be. I don't think you'd be the villain, but I think they would push you to be like that point of like
Yeah.
don't drag my name through the mud after I helped you. I don't think you would outright be that.
I don't know
No.
if I would ever do it though. I don't think so. I'm also I'm
Hmm.
I feel like I would need to have more of like a social media presence, and I don't in order to do that.
Hmm.
And I also have no
Uh,
desire to be like known to the public. Not saying like
oh,
if onto one, like I'd become famous, but I have no desire
yeah,
to be that.
that's fair.
I'm
That's fair.
totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I,
I feel that.
but
No, I feel that.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Who knows?
Well, I think the sad part is, yeah, a lot of these companies want somebody with a social media following for the views, but I think the most genuine people that really become super famous from this stuff don't have that following, but their natural like charisma on the camera on these
That's
shows, they just blow up. And I
that's
think Hollywood and of course, marketing, these people, they kind of lost sight of that. They want people with like, oh, if they have like 2,000 followers, 5,000 followers, they can finally promote the show. Because once you're on a popular enough show, you'll get your followers if that's what if people are interested in that.
that's
But
true.
but no, I mean, yeah, I would see like I could see you on some like show like that. More so, not even, maybe in a competition show where you actually have to use, takes brain power of like planning and execution. Like if there was like
Like a
a
murder
show,
mystery or something.
yeah, like
Yeah,
I love a good murder mystery.
I would do that. Like the escape
Yeah,
rooms. Oh, I love it. I love
yeah,
an escape room.
yeah. Now that's where you become a villain because you're competitive. So that's when you'll get that label of villain because you're like Survivor or something like that where you actually have to try. That
Yeah,
I could see you do.
yeah,
Like,
that would be
you know.
bad. I would just start shoving people, be like, get out of the way. You're
Oh
messing
no,
it.
you're messing it up.
You don't got it. Gotta move, man.
Like you literally, like yeah, like because a lot of those competition shows, like if you're in the jungle or like Naked and Afraid or some Outlast show, like all right, you were working together. Like you need to build the boma, stop all this crying nonsense. We got stuff to do. Like I don't feel like you'd break down easily.
No, I don't. Well, I don't know. I have a lot of emotions, so when I do break down, I think it's everything kind of comes into full impact. So I'm either like I have a lot of personality.
Mm.
I'm very extroverted. I don't think anyone's ever called me an introvert. I don't think it's in my vocabulary.
uh,
Um, but everything I do, I feel with like 100%. So when I am sad, I am very sad.
mm.
So I do have my days.
Okay,
So I would say I probably do break down. I probably break down a little bit, maybe more often than other people realize, but I don't necessarily break down in front of people. I don't like to break down in front of people.
yeah, you're a
Like,
private crier. I'm a private crier.
yeah,
Like like I'll go off somewhere else. Like if it ever got to that point, it's just like yeah, it's not. Sometimes I feel like emotions aren't for everybody. It's also like look, my baggage isn't your baggage, and why do you need to know this? That's
and
fair.
uh, and also it's like I feel better after a good cry. I really do. There
Oh
was
yeah,
I just sometimes I'm like, I just want to cry. It's stupid. My heel broke. I don't know, on my favorite pair of heels. And
I
honestly,
mean,
it was
look,
just a crappy day. And
that'll do
I'm
it.
gonna cry over my broken heel. That's usually when I usually break down. It's over something dumb, but it's because I've had a stressful week. So
Nah. So it
and
builds up. It's like, okay, one, two, three. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look, I'm trying to think the last time I cried. I think it was like, I can cry like at a good movie ending or a movie, like, but I don't just do it just because, like, it has to earn it. Like,
yeah.
like, things earn my tears. Like, I don't just give them away. Like, I don't even really yell. I just kind of like stare blankly, like, I can't believe this nonsense is happening. Um,
Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I yell. I'm probably more of a yeller than anything. I talk
I
loud.
Yeah. I think everyone needs to like talk loud and yell every now and again. I think people are afraid of like yelling. Sometimes you just need to yell like in your own space just to get it out. And I feel like we not even into a pillow, just like
Yeah.
get it out. Like, oh, your neighbors may not think something's wrong, but sometimes you just gotta say, you know what? Like a rage room or some. I need to go to one of those, honestly.
I went to one. My friend took me there. Um, I want to say it was honestly last April. It was a while
Oh, yeah.
ago, but she took me to one. She was like, I feel like you need this. And I was
Yeah,
like,
oh, I bet you do.
oh, it was, I 10 out of 10. Don't do get help. Just go to a rage room or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
space,
Yeah,
whatever.
don't go to don't use BetterHelp. Go to a rage room. If it's yeah, I'll get sponsored by a rage room. I'll do that in a
There you
heartbeat.
go.
Get yourself a mallet. Now,
Okay.
honestly, I think the rage room needs to expand to more like a larger outdoor venue because I sometimes what I've always wanted to do is throw a Molotov cocktail. I've always wanted to throw one at like
Really?
yeah, I think that would be such an interesting way because like you get the light in a safe environment, light things on fire. And I think that is just kind of cathartic. I see why people like burn things they don't need anymore or just wash like bad memories away. Let me burn this shirt that my ex had gave me or whatever.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to throw a Molotov cocktail. And I think like if a rage room's way would incorporate that and I could just watch something burn. I know this sounds sus, but like,
No, not really. I mean, you could just go to like if anything, they could incorporate that the same way they do like a gun range or an outside gun range,
oh
you know. It's
yeah.
the same thing. It's just
Yeah, just getting it
different
out.
thing. No,
Yeah.
it's I mean, people do cars. I would love to destroy a car. That would be really fun. They have them in
Oh
rage rooms,
yeah.
some of them. I
Oh
would enjoy.
yeah. Take a good mallet, just windshields, get lemonade going on, have that in the background and just start going for it. Have
And
lemonade before he cheats, all that.
the rage room I went to that my friend took me to, they have you plug in your own phone and it's through the outside. So it's like they have like a plexiglass. You have to wear
Oh
like
yeah.
a certain like bib, and they have obviously like a helmet with like the shield, and they have you plug in your phone through the outside so you can play whatever music you want.
Oh
And
man. Somebody had at least have done a Disney soundtrack at least one point, right?
oh my god.
Like that had to have I know somebody's playing the Disney soundtrack. Like that odds are that happened, right? It had to have.
I don't know. We gotta add. That's a good question to ask, though. The people that work at the Rage Room, what is the song that caught your eye when you're walking past? You're like, that's what they're
Like, what? Why are they
like.
raging to the Friends theme song?
Really? Just curious.
Like,
That's actually a good question. I feel like
yeah.
next time I go to one, I'm gonna ask them that.
Yeah, they have to be because like if you get to plug in your own music, like I guess it doesn't have to be like it could be rap, it could be anything. It can have the most vile lyrics you ever heard. I'm sure death metal, but like somebody's listening to like Beethoven or something like that, just
That
getting
would
their
be
rage
fun.
out.
I'm not opposed to Beethoven though, because
Yeah.
it has like a kind of sympathy with it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's
I did.
very tragic. Like, oh man, this
That's
person's
really
going
cool.
through it. I would definitely do
Maybe
that.
Beethoven.
I'm sure in Florida they have that, or I know Florida has a lot of gun ranges and in and outdoors, so that. But nah, I've always thought like just you know, I mean, because I'm a fire sign, I'm like, oh man, like fire's pretty cool. Like just throwing a Molotov cocktail like some hay or something like that, just or a good idea is like it's a 2-week workshop or a few day workshop and you pay for this. You build a sculpture of your choice. And then at the end of it, you get to throw a cocktail at it and burn it down.
I feel like
That could be
you're much
interesting.
like therapist out of a job at this point. It's like this is how we're gonna get you better.
Why not? Like,
Nope, you just need 2 weeks and some scope.
yeah. And a good Molotov cocktail, a flamethrower, just burn your problems away. Now,
The
not your
the
home, of course, no, that's where it has to get like, you got to pump the brakes. Don't go full, you know, don't do that. But yeah, like in a safe environment, paper mache, something flammable that's ethical and it doesn't look humanoid. It's just,
some
you
places
know,
I think you can bring your own stuff, depending on what it is.
yeah, I mean, I hope it's not evidence. Oh yeah, these are just tax
Oh,
documents. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just go to the rage room and just
didn't
destroy
even
my
think about
evidence.
that.
Yeah, like it can't be documents. Like, oh, what? I can't bring these incriminating document to me, like embezzling funds out of the. Uh
Gotta
no,
choose
can't
something
do
else.
that. No, no, no.
Definitely go.
What other fun things you up to? Like, besides, I mean, past rage room experiences.
So I did the rage room. I just got done with, I was in 2 weddings in September, back to back.
Oh
So,
gosh.
and that, well, there was three in total. So I wasn't in the third one, but I had to attend it. Um, so one of it was my sister's that was,
Congrats to her.
oh yeah, no, she's happy now. Now things have calmed down. So it's been a little bit. I think it's been like a month. Yeah, it's been like a month.
Yeah.
Um, and then I had my old college roommate, hers the weekend after. Then that Sunday after hers was another wedding we had to drive to. So After
Okay.
that, I was like, I need to
You
relax.
time. You need you time.
It was a lot.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but it was fun. I mean, everything was great. Um, I had to like, I was like, I feel like I can't drink for like a month. My liver was dead.
Yeah, dude. What is your drink of choice?
Tequila soda with a lime.
Oh, okay, detective.
Yes.
Solving cases.
Sugary drinks because it just bloat. It just makes me
Okay,
feel
that's
so
fair.
bloated. So that's why I do like soda water. And less calories. We're all here.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, of
not
course. Yeah, yeah.
poor. So
Yeah, it'll
and I
stick
have
with you.
little flavor. So
Yeah,
lime.
yeah.
Um, that I do love white wine, Sauvignon Blanc. Um,
Um, uh, makes my
um,
sommelier joke not great anymore. Like
yeah,
legit.
that when I took that alcohol class in college, that's when I figured out I was allergic to red wine, which is crazy.
Oh
I'm allergic
God.
to tannins. Yeah, there's something with tannins that my stomach can't digest properly.
Oh geez. Well,
I
I mean,
know.
I would say you're missing out, but I mean, you're fine. I mean, I'm not. It's
Well,
not like I'm a. You
I
know,
love red wine, but I can't drink it.
I
So
can
I am,
have it. It
yeah,
may kill me.
it something. I'm not quite sure what it is, but
Mm,
whatever. Um,
okay.
but so I have a Cooper's Hawk membership, which is part of the wine club, which is just funny.
Yeah.
So once a month, me and my partner, we both go to the wine club and you get to try like 8 glasses of whatever wine that you choose from them. And then you
Hmm.
can take the bottles home and then we usually get like dinner. So I do that, which I like. I like getting
Yeah.
out. Recently, I've been a little bit obsessed with trying to find like a good corn maze to do.
What?
Yeah.
Why? Because
Because I
it's
think it's
Halloween.
that. And so I just did one. I just did my first corn maze.
Okay.
And we were looking at them. And apparently there's some corn mazes where you don't get any clues when you're trying to go through it. There's like towers that you can stand in the middle and then you have to kind of like search for your pathway to go out of it. So
Okay.
I feel like that'd be so much fun because the one I did was way too easy. Yeah, that was way too easy
The
for
fact that
me.
there's challenge levels, like only thing I think of core maze is being chased through it by like some killer. But
That's
that's probably a
I'll
good
do it even
attraction.
faster. Let me tell you,
Like
I will
that's
get
cool.
but I only did one, and so I'm trying to find another one that I think would be really challenging. Um, I don't know why. I just that's my
Look,
I went through the corn maze.
it,
I'm like, we gotta find a better one. Can we
same
find a
reason about escape rooms. It's just like now it's outdoors. Like all right, they drop you in the middle and they say, all right, find your way back. Listen to the sound of this person's voice.
Well,
Now,
some of
is it
them
at
are
night?
pretty complicated. No, not the one I did, but maybe there are some. Actually, no,
Yeah.
there's no way to do light. There's just no way.
Yeah, that'll be like a expert level. Like, okay, you really love corn mazes so much. Here you go. It's like 10 p.m. Find your way back.
I would do it. I don't do haunted houses, but I would do that.
Yeah,
And
I don't
some
like
of them
haunted
are
houses
pretty
either.
complicated. I'll show you this map. There
Let's
is
see.
you can download. So that's why this one was a little too easy because you could download the map. And I was like, just in case we
Hmm.
get lost, we do need to have the map. But this was the corn maze.
Oh, dude. Okay.
And so like all the red
Jeez.
dots, that is all the points you have to go through. Yeah.
And what is that? Is that like a? It looks like somebody a baseball. What is a
Oh,
baseball
it's supposed to be
player?
Luke Bryan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought it looked like. I mean,
It's supposed to be Luke Bryan, but if you look up like corn mazes, and I don't know
what?
if this is just an Illinois thing. I don't know.
Yeah, like okay. I'm like, why they choose him? Like his people said, yeah.
Let's do Luke Bryan, honestly. And so there's like if you look on like corn mazes Illinois, they'll actually show you
Let's see.
they'll do like a droid, and they will show you them
Oh,
through the
okay.
actual corn. They're pretty accurate. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at some. I'm just googling it right now. Like, all right. Yeah, because I don't do haunted houses, but I think a haunted maze would be interesting. Just something different, but like, I don't know.
It was fun. I liked it. Like I said, it was my first one. And then now I'm like obsessed. So I'm like every now like October goes around, I'm like, what maze are we gonna do? Where are we gonna drive? which one's good, which one's the best one, because I don't do haunted houses.
Start doing review videos. I mean, look, talk about sponsorships. Like, they're like, hey, that's a niche right there. We have
Yeah,
somebody that really wants to be outside in the core maze, and during Halloween, there you go.
I just want to
Like,
be challenged. I like to be challenged.
okay, now this time I'm thinking like for this Halloween, I don't know if there's any like haunted house in the future. Like I've done like those horror night things, and I'm kind of not like into getting scared because my brain just is like it knows it's not real. I have too many real things happening in my life for me to go like, oh, okay, like I just don't have the time.
My life is
Uh,
scary enough without going on
yeah,
it.
I got enough. I got real stuff. I got like, hey, you got to pay this bill or this fine, or hey, you got that speeding ticket. Hey, got to go to court. Like, like,
Go through a haunted house, you're like, I'm not even scared at this point. I
oh
owe.
yeah, yeah. Like, oh, student loans. Hey, there's a couple hurricanes headed your way. Like, I've got enough going down. I don't like. I don't need homeboy making 20 an hour to be like, boo, for me to go.
Oh my,
I just,
now they're gonna start making haunted houses related to adult problems.
They really should. Child, so you don't have enough money for child support. Like, oops, you found your your husband found your ex. Like, oops, like
Where are you going down?
like your kids are going to Brown instead of Berkeley. Oh no,
That would
like
be a problem. That
like your
first,
kid
we're
grew up. Your kid grew up to be a Seattle Seahawks fan. Oh God, what are you gonna do?
I don't know anyone in my life that would be so mad. It's
Yeah, like, oh
a different,
goodness.
but also all the teams I know are not the
Hmm.
best. So
Yeah,
I guess no one around me is a big sports fan.
I'm not the big like I know some things, but I'm kind of like eh. Like I'm not well knowledge in the players. I know how the games work and I know the rules and I am entertained by it, but I just literally if the championship of any sport is happening, I won't know until the 2 days after. That's how kind of unplugged I am. Like even the Olympics, I didn't watch it. It wasn't until the breakdance and
I
Ray
watched.
Gun showed up, and I was like, God, I love the internet so much.
Yup,
Like,
yup.
it
I
was.
watched the breakdancing one. I definitely did, and it's probably the only one I watched,
Oh
and
yeah.
only one I needed to watch.
Only
Honestly,
truly, that's the only one it makes you wonder. It honestly watching, look, anybody get on the Olympic stage, congrats to them and whatnot. Yeah, whatever. But for me, that gave me the confidence to say, you know what, I can really do anything. I mean, I've always known it, but it wasn't until that moment that I was like, bruh, like, I think we're all trying a little too hard to be noticed. You could game the
honestly,
system and be in the Olympics.
I got to respect her a little bit though after because I mean everybody made fun of her and she was just like, I'll go again if they have it again. She was like, just be yourself, and I was
That is the
like,
only response that she could have. Like, because she know, like, the world, for me personally, the world, I've watched enough breakdancing, a little bit in person and also online of like some break dancers that are like, yo, they're defying gravity. They're just monsters with the body control, all the calisthenic skill. Granted, yeah, everyone has their own style, but then you see like, and I'm sure people from Australia that really are about it. They're like, what are we doing here? Like, look, I get it, it's fun, but like, there's no way that the Olympics will be the best of the best. There's no way that was it.
I have never seen breakdancing before. Um,
Ah,
well, like as a competition, I've seen people break dance. I mean, I work in the city, so you never
oh
really
yeah,
know.
yeah. So
Walk
like,
into your office.
yeah,
I've seen people break dance, but I've never seen a competition. And I was like, I didn't even know they did this.
it's like there's think of anything like they have the circuits, they have their own competitions. It's just like you think of anybody you've seen like taking the metro or just doing it on the street. You put them in the Olympics, they would have gotten a better reaction than that. Because when you look at the videos, you're like, what is happening? And granted, she stood on business. I respect anybody standing on business. Like, yeah, I did it. I'm doing it.
Yeah,
Like,
I'd
hey,
do it again.
confident. I do it again. I would too. But like, again, no such thing as bad publicity. We all know who Ray Gun is now, which is the point. but
Yeah.
like, breakdancing, especially in the Afro American culture too. It's like it's one of the most sacred pillars that connects to hip hop. And you look at that on stage, you're like, what the heck blazes is that?
Hey, but now people know that it was part of the competition, though.
Now they know, but like, gee, it's like, I mean, it's like, taking your prom photo, you got gum in your hair, and it's like you can't get it.
It's done.
It's
No matter
done.
Photoshop is gonna fix that at this point.
Yeah, like if you step in poop in front of your classmates in school, there's a nickname for the rest of the semester. It's game over. Like you only get one shot at this. Um, but
But
no,
that's the only thing I watched. That was really the only thing.
okay. Well,
At least for
I'm not into sports. I mean, I like sports, but no, I watch roller skating stuff. Like I'm starting. There's a roller skating show, competition show that I'm into now. Yeah, I like challenging myself too, and I like watching people go through challenges. That's why I like competition shows, like the Squid Game reality show. I enjoyed.
the
Um,
Squid Game reality. I didn't even know they had that.
oh, dude, because all right, you've watched the regular show, right? The
Oh, I watched
regular
Squid Games. Yeah.
on that you can watch started. All right, you say you only can start stuff on the weekends. Watch the Squid Game competition show. They did a show based off the TV show, but it's with
Okay.
regular people.
I'm
And
assuming it doesn't have the same ending.
no, but it's all real people completing the actual Squid Games. They got
Mm.
hundreds of people in this warehouse, and they made them go through the gauntlet. And if you're talking about a show where you might become the villain, that's a show where, like, if you're telling people are moving too slow and you push them down, you could do it in that show because that's the point of the Squid, during the competition. You may be a villain on that one.
Yeah.
You may be one of the ones who are like, oh man, she's really like laying into these people about
I
this
mean,
game.
I'm assuming there's a prize for money.
Oh, they get money. Yeah, yeah. It's
Exactly. So I will be the villain for like $1 million. I
yeah,
don't care.
yeah.
I will. It's a lot of money.
Nah, you could build a good alliance. 'Cause I feel like you would thrive in that situation because you're using your brain power. It's all strategy, but also a little luck too. Because if somebody else picks your number, if you get eliminated, depending on the game, then that's it. I don't know how well you do with getting shot with paintballs, but because you still got to get shot by the paintballs to simulate getting
Right.
shot. So
That makes sense. That'll be
no,
fine. I'll get
no,
through it.
no.
I,
But no,
I probably
I
wouldn't
really think
accept
you do
it or
well.
be like, I'm still alive. Put me
Well, I
back.
was waiting for people to do that. When you watch the show, you can tell they tell them to freeze once they get shot and pretend like they're dead. It's so cheesy. But, some people don't even bother closing their eyes because they're so pissed that they.
That would probably be me. I would probably be so mad that I lost that I'd be like, I'm not gonna close my eyes. I'm not gonna
No,
pretend
yeah.
I'm
By the
mad.
fourth, but when it went from like 250 to like 60 people and you're one of the 60 to get eliminated off some crap that wasn't your fault, yeah, I wouldn't close my eyes either. I might even flip off the camera.
Yeah. Give me the paintball gun. Can I shoot the partner that screwed it up? Or
You probably could. I mean, look,
like probably do that.
season 2, whenever they do it, nah, I think you would thrive in that show for sure.
Maybe. See, that's a show I probably do, but I still don't know.
Start it this weekend. Wait, you'll start it this weekend. I guarantee you by Monday, you'll be like, man, like your faith in oh, sure, not saying your faith in humanity's gone. Maybe it is. I don't know. Is it? Uh,
Not yet.
not
Give
yet.
it
No,
give it
I usually ask this usually at the tail end. So every guest I have, I ask a question that the previous guest wanted to ask. So, well, essentially, I'm going to ask you a question that the previous guest asked, and then I'm going to ask you to ask me a question that I'll ask the next guest.
okay.
So, and I mentioned like, if you feel like you lost faith in humanity, because the last guest asked something very nice or interesting. They asked, where do you see the world in the next 10 years?
Wow, that's a heavy loaded question.
I know, right? I was like, okay. So I always give my answer. And my answer from the last episode, pretty much we are where we're going to be, keeping it as vague as possible. So everyone go listen. to that one if you want to hear my full off the cuff answer. But no, like your first gut, like 5, 10 years, where do you see the world at?
Honestly, I don't. First gut answer is that I
I know
just,
it's like on the spot, right? It's like,
yeah, it's very on the spot. You asked
yeah,
the question. Now I'm there.
no, he's funny, but I was like, geez, okay, all right, well, I guess I have to ask it.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess I don't know where I see the world in 10 years, but I think that's kind of the point because I think AI is taking over in that sense. So I think what is going to happen in 10 years is nothing that anyone's going to predict.
that's
Um,
fair.
I do think we're about to have major changes. I do think that, mostly within AI, because I mean, the fact that AI can produce anything and really tell you anything, I mean, it's a scary but also very useful tool.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, people are using, like Chat GPT to check papers for, plagiarism. Like it's a
Hmm.
very useful tool. So I think we're about to be in a world that's really AI generated in 10 years. But I mean,
Yeah.
at this point, we already are. I mean, everyone like freaks out that, the government's listening to us. Yeah, they've been listening, like
Hey, Steve.
yeah,
Always say shout out to my FBI agent.
seriously, it's just it is what it is. I mean, unless you really don't want to have a phone or, I mean, it's really that or like anything with social media or a laptop, then you're just going to have to accept it.
Yeah.
And there's not that many people monitoring every little thing that we do,
No.
but
No.
it's going to be more AI generated in that fact where there's going to be certain, I think, like flag words that are going to pick up on.
Hmm.
I mean, what is actually going on. So I don't know if I can predict the world in 10 years. I think it's going to be very different. And I think it's going to have a lot to do with that AI in that sense. But I also think it's going to I see the world a little bit more divided in the 10 years. I do see that.
That's fair. That makes so. That's honestly what that was the answer I gave when I first heard the question. I believe big changes are afoot in every industry, because of AI, but also just because of the next generation is kind of not they're I mean, everyone's gullible, but they're not as gullible. They're more optimistic, but they're a little more like, we're not just going to take what you say as gospel because of all of our quote unquote heroes are shown to be frauds.
Yeah.
So like this next generation is not going to fall for that as much as well as we all have in a way. Is if say I'm not saying everyone has, but I think it's big changes on who we look up to and what we believe. If I can put a just a bow
Yes.
on that.
I no, I actually completely agree with that. I also think the generation, I mean, they won't take your word.
No,
Everyone's word to them is crap.
it's dust.
Their
Doesn't even
whole
exist.
you need to give me respect. They're like, no, you aren't given respect. You are earned it. And
Hmm.
when you lose that, you will not get it back. And
Yeah,
it is ruthless.
yeah. This next generation is. I got to imagine they are not as forgiving, like because they're like, no, one and done. Like I feel like even my parents' generation, our parents and the parents before, like certain things they look over and forgive and say, oh, it is what it is. This next one, they're literally like, no, you
Hmm.
burn me once, that is it. Doesn't matter the infraction, it's over, which can be justified at times. I agree, but I think this next generation is very weary about giving their love and respect to any old thing.
And that's where I think the dividing is going to come in. I do think that's going to come into play. I do think um, I'm very benefited in the fact that the generation I was raised in, we didn't grow up with phones, but we were kind of the generation that developed it. So, because
Oh yeah.
I mean, I had a flip phone, and I never had a phone in elementary school because it wasn't that common back then.
Hmm.
Now, I mean, everyone's like, my kid won't get a phone. It's like, your kid could be kidnapped, though. You probably want to give your
They
kid a
need
phone.
some sort of either an Apple Watch or and it's an Apple Watch. It's something that allows you to track and make sure they're okay. And I think our generations were the guinea pigs to
Yes.
test it all out, and it's shown how susceptible and how eager we are to give away our information. Like
Yeah.
literally with this, we're so eager to turn on a camera and look directly at it and say, "Look, record my face, get it all. I signed all the waivers. I signed it all the way already." And then the
Yeah,
next generation is going to either pay for that or benefit from it. But I thought it was an interesting question to ask,
it
and
is. It
but
is. It'll be curious to see what it is. Hopefully, I think having some more real life experiences. I mean,
yeah.
compared to, I don't know if you feel the same way, but when I started my first job, compared to how I acted, how I behaved, or how I just even presented myself, or how I thought is very different than now. You know.
Oh yeah, fair. I mean, my first job, which is interesting, was the U.S. Navy. So that was which is, I think, kind of, it worked my opinion briefly, not entirely. Like I'm not a Joe Navy, like, oh yes sir, like I don't have any love like that. But it really did usher me into adulthood in a different way. Where in hindsight, with kids and stuff like that, I would do something different. Like my wife talk about it. Like, how will we raise kids? Like we were having a conversation earlier about at what point can you leave your kid home alone for the evening or for a day or 2 days? Say if they're like 18 years old in your home or 17 going on 18 and like, hey, me and the spouse want to go on a 2-day weekend trip. Can you watch the house? Like, at what point can you start giving your kids that freedom? Because I don't want to handhold them through life, but I also want to trust them. If I feel like I can't trust my 16-year-old to be good in the home for like 9 hours while I'm out, with my wife or like,
Yeah.
hanging out or whatever, like, then that's a parenting issue. Granted, yes, kids can have parties and they all that. Like, I get it. It is they can do stuff when they're in school that I don't even know about it. But I'm at this point thinking like, okay, how am I going to raise the next generation and what values am I going to give them? Because they're going to inherit it. But I also don't want them to live their life in fear or me to not trust them. Like trust is earned, but
Yeah.
it's learned in the household first. So
I
that's
mean, you got to take each kid. If you're
oh
gonna have more than one,
yeah.
don't do it all the same for each one.
No, gosh, no. No, they're individuals. I've always understood that. And I definitely believe in consequences. Like if we're about to go on a vacation, if you didn't do well in school, it's just okay. If they're like 15, 16 and they do well in school, like you're not going.
Yeah.
7-year-old, 8-year-old, okay, sure. But like there has to be consequences to your actions. You don't just get a pass just because we're the same bloodline. Like,
Yeah.
trust me, if they like once my kids get to know me, they're like, oh, just because we're the same blood doesn't mean that we're like, family for it. Like anybody will screw you over. It doesn't matter.
I mean, if anything, you're annoying me more because we're blood. We're
Yeah,
two,
if any, yeah.
and I know exactly the way you're going about this right now, and it's not gonna work because I did
Yeah,
the same thing. So
yeah. If anything, you're mine, and I'm kind of like, oh, this is worse. Uh,
I like to look
that's
at
funny.
it, if at least for like when I do have kids, later in life, not
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
That what the way that I was raised, I still get along with all my siblings. Both of them, both my sisters are in healthy relationships. I love their significant others. One now is my brother, and
Yeah.
I've always been very, very close to him. So I look at that. I get along with my parents. I love my parents. Like everyone talks to each other. Everyone communicates. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact of how my parents are. So it's, just kind of embracing that into that everyday life. Because I mean, my parents, I mean, they're still together. They're happily married.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
one of
awesome.
the things that I saw that I don't think a lot of people ever had, I have to this day never seen my parents fight. I've never seen them
Oh,
angry at
wow.
each other. I've never seen them fight. Not saying that they haven't, but they have done it behind closed doors where that was never a part of my life.
Oh, wow. That's pretty awesome. I feel like it's pretty rare, personally.
Exactly. So I don't know if that has like a lot to do with it. I've always been kind of curious about that, but it's in my opinion, it's okay to disagree with
Oh, yeah.
with your significant other.
Yeah.
But just don't do it in front of your kids, because at least my mom always said, she was like, we didn't want you to feel like you had to pick sides, or that we were making you pick a side, or that you didn't see us as a united front, because we're stronger as a united front and you're less likely to go against us when we're
Hmm.
together. Like
Yeah.
you don't get to tell me that something about your father and expect me not to do it.
That's
So
fair. No, I think that did have an impact on how you operate today, even in big or small occurrences. Just how you communicate, how you express your emotions. It's like, okay, if your parents fought in front of you, yeah, I was a kid where my parents, they had arguments in front of us, or certain things, and it's like it doesn't sometimes warp your perception of the other at random points. And it's like I knew I could never play them off each other. They were always united front on stuff, but
that yeah.
when they did argue and things, it's just, you know, in hindsight, yeah, if they were behind closed doors, you heard it. It's like, oh, but like if it started off in like the living room. But now that I'm an adult, I've always believed in giving your parents grace. And now, I'm not saying you have to have a perfect relationship with them. If they haven't earned your love or respect as an adult based off actions they've done, then sure, then yeah, by all means, they're not just granted a free pass just because they
Yeah.
bore you. But I think, yeah, now that I'm an adult, I do see them with a lot more grace of like, oh, you know, life's hard, especially with my dad, dying. I kind of even thought more like, wow, like it's tough raising people. It's tough living in a life that's where the world's changing, technology's changing. How do you,
Navigate
make,
it.
yeah, navigate it? Hopefully your kids grow to be not just successful, but productive members of society,
Yeah.
and or either love them unconditionally in case something does happen where they're, say God forbid, they get hurt, or say get arrested, or anything. It's like, okay,
Kind of put in a bad situation where
yeah,
they need your help, whether it's you driving overnight to go and pick them up or whatever
yeah,
the case
like
is.
I'm at this party, Dad, and I don't feel comfortable, or this happened. Like I want them to feel comfortable talking to me, because if they are comfortable talking to me, then I've won. Because God forbid, I don't want them like
Yeah.
you said, in a bad situation, and they're more afraid of their friends than they are of me. Sometimes I hate to say the word afraid, but I kind of think your kids need to have a healthy fear of who you are. Like,
Yeah.
what is your opinion? Like, they don't want to let me down. I don't care letting
Yeah.
their friends down. Like, you're 14. Like, you're going to let a lot more people down than this kid. Get used to it. It's going to
Yeah.
happen quick, fast, and in a hurry. Better
And
now than later.
I also want to be I would want to be the person that if they were in a bad situation, that, I'm understanding. I'm hard.
Mm-hmm.
I can be harsh. I can be
Mm-hmm.
blunt, but I'm overall understanding. So
Yeah.
like if you're drunk at a party and you're like, I need to go home, I'm in a bad situation, and you're going to call me and you're going to tell me this. And if you think like, I'm in no way going to be lecturing you on the car ride home, I'm honestly going to be more grateful the fact that you called me if you were
Oh,
in that
yeah.
situation.
Nah.
How you lied and all that stuff, we'll talk about
We'll talk about
it.
that in the morning.
And I wouldn't be that harsh about that though,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't want to be like, you like shouldn't have done that and all that stuff and then ground forever and then they're never going to call me again.
Yeah.
If
Like, I would rather pick them up. Now here's what I will do while we're driving in the car and they're like in the back, kind of like, I might jerk the wheel a bit just to go like, oh, just to say, oh, don't throw up. Like, I mean,
yeah,
please don't throw up in my ride. But I may
and
like,
you're hungover the next day. I don't know how to
yeah,
solve that. Looks like you got to deal with it.
looks like you better Google it. Like, I will not have like the hangover remedy ready to go. No, they're going to feel the full weight of it, but we will talk about it, and I'm not going to yell at them,
Yeah.
or anything like that. But no, this was good. Now, the last bit is you get to ask a question, and then what do you want me to ask the next person?
All right. This is my question.
Okay.
Funny background about this. Someone actually asked me this in an interview.
Okay.
Um, and it totally caught me off guard. What is something that you have told someone you're going to do and they don't believe you? Like, what is something that you have told people you're going to
Okay.
accomplish and they do not believe you? There's a better way to
Okay.
word that.
No, that makes sense. Okay, what is something that I told somebody I'm going to do, and they don't believe you? Now, did that person accomplish? Did you accomplish it anyway, or is it just something that they didn't
I would
believe
say
you
it's
in?
something. It would say it
Huh.
was something that they have had to accomplish,
Okay. Oh, I
or they're
like that.
close, or they're in the midst of about to accomplish.
Accomplishing. Okay. Huh.
Like, for instance, background. I switched my major in college, end of my sophomore year. So I went from taking 12 to 15 credits each semester to from then on out taking 20 to 21 to 19 credits each semester, including like 6 credits each summer. I was
Okay.
told not to do that. I was told I shouldn't do that and that I will end up failing and
Oh
having to
wow.
graduate later because it's going to be way too stressful because it's a lot to do and I won't have a breath.
Yeah.
And I had to work also including in that. But I accomplished it. And
Heck yeah.
I did not want to pay for an extra semester. So,
That's awesome. So then when
so
you
that's
tell
behind it.
so like when you so whenever you talk to like, you mentioned eventually teaching higher ed, you're like, look, I know you all have heavy workloads. Here's a little background on me. This is what I did at the worst it could be, and I still accomplished it. Now, again, not saying that your lives there's other things happening, but it shows that you can do anything you put your mind to it. No, I agree. Well, that actually does unlock the answer for me is getting out of the military. Like there was people that were like, you know, telling me that, yeah, I'll be back. Because, once you leave, you have, you can come back in and like at 35, I believe is a cutoff. So like leaving, people are like, what, there's no jobs out there, it's rough. Like stay in, do your 20 years to earn the retirement and whatnot, which look, no shade to people that do that or 30, but like I get it. And I was this close to, renewing my, contract, going for the next 4. But honestly, my dad dying was a blessing because then it kind of awoke me from my sleep. It put me in another slumber for a bit, but then I eventually woke from that. But it got me out of the hurdle of like feeling like I couldn't do anything else but what Uncle Sam would tell me to do. And I wasn't the
Yeah.
best sailor. Like I wouldn't necessarily, I wasn't great at my job. I don't, I just did it. But then
Yeah.
while I was in there, I was already seeing the matrix. Like kind of how at my job now, I'm very vocal about what I think isn't right or is it wrong. I was doing that in the military, and anybody who knew me in there would know that I would always in front of people question like, well, why are we doing that? Like
Yeah.
I have a very inquisitive attitude about work when it comes to I need to know why we're doing it. And then I even have to sometimes agree. But haven't reenlisted. I had no desire to go back. It was tough, going out, but I really
Sounds
didn't
scary.
yeah, like I didn't believe that there was nothing out here. I'm like 7 continents on this planet, and you telling me I can't find work, I can't do it. Not to saying that some of the veterans out there are slacking. No, not at all. But I know that the fear that they can instill of saying, look, you might as well just do this 20, get this check. And all I kept thinking is that's 20 years of my life, not 20 years waiting to get upwards of maybe $2,000-3,000 a month. Okay, $3,000 a month for the rest of my life, sure. But like, what if I'm doing something in between that time would get me $10,000 a month for the rest of my life? But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't know that I could do other things. Granted, I would never know that social media would get to the point where even people in the military are making money doing online content because it wasn't available then. So like I had to play the cards I was dealt, and I've never regretted it since. So that's one thing that people said I couldn't or shouldn't do. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get out. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like,
If you re-enlist, does it re-enlist for another year or is it
no.
5 years or what is it?
Oh, it's like 4 years. It's like,
Okay.
that's the minimum usually, depending.
That's
Like
usually how
it's,
they get you then. It's a little bit
uh,
of the fear that it's
uh
like if you're wanting to move forward and you're like scared for change and people are typically very afraid of change. That's usually a
yeah,
common fear, I feel like
yeah,
within everybody. But to re-enlist and then you're like and you weren't really wanting to, I mean that's pretty brave the fact that you didn't. The
yeah.
fact that you
Thank
didn't
you.
want to. This is not like you said, not discrediting anyone that went down that path. That is their path. That is the path
Mhm.
they chose and they wanted. and I'm
Yeah.
sure they're doing fantastic, but you didn't want that path. And it was
No.
probably a terrifying thought that you might have been the only one that wasn't going down it if your other colleagues were like, no, you should re-enlist.
Well, yeah, and some of my closest friends are still in, and it's like, we went in together, and like, I love them for it, and I always look, if anybody in the military asks me what should I do, I'm like, you should get out. I'm always fan of getting out because yes, it feels safe, but the irony is you're in the military and it's designed not to be safe.
No, you're right.
I'd rather be a number on the outside world than a number in their world.
And if they're not sure what they want to do, then you should probably see what it is outside of it because you can always go back.
Oh, I said, like, look, if I'm about to be addicted to crack on the street, I have until 35 to clean my life up. And at least I know I get, 3 meals and a cot. Like, I get
Yeah.
that. But then, it's like, if you don't have to go back, don't. There's so much out here. There's so much to experience, so many places you can go. And sometimes the challenge of trying to find a better job or trying to find a better thing, granted, yes, getting out honorably too, where shoot, you can be discharged for dishonorable discharge for a lot of things. And it can happen so fast. And you're like, so you went to 15 years and you were out dishonorably and all that was for what? So I'm like, get out while the getting's good. Let them miss you. Leave them wanting more.
Yeah.
So
Like I said, maybe you'll get out. I don't know. I think a lot of people are afraid to test the waters, but at the end of the day, I mean, if you're hesitant, do it and then just go back if you need to. You can always go
yeah,
back.
if you're physically able to, get out before you're hurt too badly. I mean, that's just my mindset. I don't regret it, never regretted it, but yeah, every water, shark infested waters in my book. I'd rather be shark infested waters out here, um, drinking, smoking. And I'm not saying that's a motivating factor, but I don't smoke, but it's just but it's more so I have the choice
Yeah.
in a way. And I'd rather have the freedom of choice than no choice at all.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate you coming on, Jessica. I really do. This has been
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me. This has
Yeah.
been great. So
Yeah. Do you
I
want to plug anything?
um like my social media or anything?
Sure. I mean, you can, if you're writing a book, I mean, you can plug anything you
Uh,
want. This is my favorite bat. Like, you can say anything you want.
Plug anything? No, I don't have anything to plug.
That's fine.
You can look at my firm that I currently work for. If there's any followers looking for an architect or interior designer,
All right.
it's called O'Kelly Casbrack, and it's in Chicago,
Okay.
and it's spelled exactly like it sounds. O'Kelly
Oh, yeah.
Casbrack.
All right. We'll make
So
sure I get that checked. That's
I'll message
awesome.
you it. The
All
last
right.
name, the first name O'Kelly is easy to spell. Casbrack a little different, but
Okay.
yeah, shout out to my current job. So if you have a need for us, let us know. We only do commercial though. We do not do residential. So
All right. Good to know. Only commercial,
yes,
no residential. So they don't care about your homes, people.
Mm.
All right.
We're kind of expensive. I don't
Yeah.
think you would want it for your
You don't
homes.
want All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, everyone. If you like this episode, please check out my other episodes of Nico Likes to Talk. Like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube or Spotify